Welcome back. Every generation of Canadians seems to produce only one or two hockey stars who dominate their game. Howie Morenz, Maurice Richard, Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr. My next guest is closely associated with another of those great names. Would you please welcome Brett Hull's father? Do you want to explain why Brett's name is in the news a little bit more than yours right now?
Well, more so than winning on the winning team of the Pee Wee Championship down in Quebec this past week. Brett's played a little more hockey than I have this year, and the 12-year-old Winnipeg South Monarchs, the team that he was on, they did themselves proud in Quebec. They won every game that they played, and they came back victorious over teams from all over Canada and the United States, so they did a great job.
The Quebec tournament is a big deal. Did Brett himself do well? Is he a star of that team?
Well, he tells me that he is. He and his mother gang up on me, and they feel that he does a pretty good job. I have to keep his head the right size by telling him that he could do better, but I will have to say that Brett has all the tools to be an up-and-coming hockey star. He just has to lose a little bit of weight, that's all. He tends to be a little bit like his dad in that respect, that he doesn't push himself away from the table, but he also has to realize that his dad worked a little harder than he did at his age.
Really?
I think that's true with all kids now. We parents tend to spoil them a little bit. The kids today, as a matter of fact, I told them, they were belly aching about not having a place to play today and wanted me to take them over to the Winnipeg Arena. And I told them, why don't you do like I did when I was your age, go down to the community club and shovel it off. And they didn't go for that.
Really?
I think I've shoveled enough snow in my life to cover half of Winnipeg to get a spot to play.
Let's talk about Brett's father, Bobby, and how you are, because that is what everyone wants to know. And will you be back in hockey this year? Will you be back ever?
Well, I wish you hadn't put it like that. I certainly feel that I'll be on skates possibly within another week or so. I don't really know. I just had the cast removed from my ankle 3 days ago, and I'm getting around pretty good. It's still swollen quite badly, as maybe you could see, and it looks like I still have the cast on, and the only thing I can wear is the clogs that Ulfi and Anders got me over in Sweden. But
that's the ankle. That has a sever or a cut Achilles tendon.
Yes. After I was injured in training camp and broke my wrist in a couple of places, I was just getting back into the swing of things, and I don't know, maybe I played 15 or 18 games and just started to feel good again. And this freak accident where I followed Ulfi in over the blue line, and a couple of guys took him out, and I went to go around him and pick up the puck in behind. And as they knocked him down, it kind of catapulted his foot around, and it sliced just between my skate and my pad, and severed the one tendon, went right down and cut the bone. And they had to go up my leg a little bit and to find the tendon. They had to sew it back together.
But you will be back on skates?
I'm quite sure, yeah.
What about your wrist, Bobby? Because there are, you know, the way sports writers love scuttlebutt, so I'd like to get it direct from you. The word is that your injured wrist, broken earlier this year, is not returned to full strength, and that you will never again have, or do not now have, what is one of your trademarks, that incredible wrist shot.
Well, I haven't been able to try it out for the last 5 weeks. But in that time, I've gained a great deal of mobility back in the wrist. I don't say it's 100% now, but I'm sure once I get back playing and get exercising it and shooting the puck, that it's going to be as good as new. It isn't 100%, as I said, but it's really close to becoming that. And I can't see that by the end of the season that it won't be real good. Might hit the stride right at playoff time. Hopefully.
But the guy who The Jets are so popular in this town, and people, and you have helped to make them that popular, and you have helped a lot of people say there would be no WHA if you hadn't jumped from the Chicago Blackhawks. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I don't really agree with that. There were a lot of people at that time, 5 years ago, that were very interested and instrumental in making the WHA work. Of course, the fellow that really caused me to defect was Ben Hatskin, who
I thought defect was an ugly word. That's what you did.
Well, I guess they called it defect. I don't know. Every time I go back to Chicago, they claim that I have defected. I don't really know what it was. I think it was really a move that I had to make because they forced it. But anyhow, Ben Hatskin, I really liked Benny right from the beginning, and everyone in Winnipeg pretty well knows Ben, and he was the reason that I was able to come to Winnipeg. And
have you ever at all regretted?
There were times when it got pretty tough the first 2 years. It was rather demanding, and I think more than anything, the court litigation kind of got me down. I didn't think anything could really bother me mentally like that, but I sat in so many courtrooms and felt that the judicial system was the backbone of our nation, so to speak, and saw those lawyers stand up there in front of the judge and just bald-faced lie right through their teeth to him, and it kind of got to me that way. And all the waiting and hoping that I was able to play, it kind of got to me. And I was run down after those first 2 years. I kind of run down a little bit.
Physically?
Physically and mentally. And I guess I've regained most of that back now.
I read a statement this afternoon that you made, I think, early last spring sometime, about the fun had gone out of hockey for you, that it would turn into a really dreary thing. It was hard to get up for games.
I don't know whether it was last spring, because I really enjoyed last winter in the playoffs. We really had a great bunch of guys, and that all worked together, and we were able to bring the championship here to Winnipeg. Well,
there was a time, though, when you said that the game had become dreary.
Well, possibly. I don't know. I think that could have been during times when a lot of these goons were running around taking shots at Anders and Ulfie and the rest of the guys that were putting money in their pockets. People sometimes have very short memories, and they don't realize that people come out to see guys like Ulf and Anders and Shu and the rest of the good hockey players in our club, and there wouldn't be a league, not likely, if it wasn't for guys like this. And then for these people to be snowed by management and coaches to the point where they are told to go out and intimidate and to put these people out of action, then that kind of got me down. And I wondered why myself, along with the rest of the guys that played the game the way it should be played, would continue to create jobs for these imbeciles that were used by the coaches and managers.
Well, you sat out a day, or sat out a game.
Yeah, that was early.
That
was early last fall.
Do you think that had any effect?
I believe it did. I think that anyone that had brains enough to have a change in attitude, it certainly helped. And I was doing it not for myself, because I'd been through it for 20 years and it didn't make any difference to me. I've been harassed for that long, and I could take it for another year or two as long as I was going to play. But it was for my children coming up and the rest of the children in this community and all over the country, that we should get a better attitude back in the game by coaches and players. And
I think management. I've also heard you quoted as finding some fun back in the game because of you could talk about Ulf Nilsson and Anders Hegberg, but there are how many Swedes on the Jets? Are there 8 and 2 guys?
I believe there are 10. I believe there are 10 Europeans altogether.
What's the language of the dressing room?
Kind of Heinz 57 variety.
Aside from, can you speak Swedish? Can you speak any Swedish?
I can speak a little bit, but I don't know whether some of the language. There might be a few Swedes in the community, and they might.
Did Nilsson and Hegberg, your line mates, ever talk behind your back, do you think, and say, don't give it to the Golden Jet?
I don't think those two kids know how to be that way. They're just two of the greatest kids, not only great athletes, but just great people, and that's what makes them the great stars that they are. They're so unselfish that I know Alfie and Anders would rather give me an open net to put it in than put it in themselves. And Alfie he's an awful card, and he wonders after he gives us the open net how good the pass was. Was it good enough to put in the open net? And things like that. And he asked Anders one day, Anders, how does it feel to score 50 goals in open netties? He's that type of guy. He keeps everything loose, but just a great kid, both of them. And I was really unhappy that I wasn't here to see Anders break the record. I was away.
Well, it was your record.
I didn't care. I wish that I could have been here to play with him more often to help him do it a little earlier.
Okay, just one final question. You talk about them taking runs at the Swedish, the European members of the Jets, and who have made them one of the most exciting hockey teams around. Do other youngsters, and we can finish where we begun, take runs at the Hull boys just because they are the sons of Bobby Hull? Do they have to put up with a little extra?
Well, I believe they do, and maybe they did earlier in their career when they came here, that the name on their back might have been a little bit of a burden to them, but they handled it really well. I think the oldest boy, Bob, may have taken it to heart a little more than the other two, because he was older, and I maybe expected a little more of him, and he knew that, and he wants to play so badly, and every time I talk about retiring, he grabs me by the scuff of the neck, and he can now. I hope he isn't watching, because he looks me in the eye right now, and he's just 15, and he says, "You're not going to retire until I play with you." So he really wants to play with me, and I think maybe it was tough on him for a while, but the second boy, Blake, he handles it really well. He's cocksure like his mother a little bit, and nothing bothers nothing bothers him.
And now
of course,
Brett's a member of the championship, the Quebec championship.
Brett, it doesn't bother him a bit. It just runs off his back like water off.
In 5 years from now, could there be a Hull line the way there is a Howe family combination? Is that a possibility?
I expect it could be. I think all the boys have qualifications to make it. I can't see why. They just need a little bit of hard work.
Well, Gordie Howe will be around for another 5 years. He can wait for you for sure. 5 years, 50. Bobby, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your career, and
thanks, Peter. I was just going to say, I don't mean to interrupt you, but a cute story about how I think that Howe is so tough that when he dies, I think he may miss just a couple of games. That's what they say.